I am the only healing person in the last days. But the first thing I did after death was not to save all living beings. Instead, it has cast the most vicious curse upon this world. I exhausted the last trace of my abilities in my lifetime. Stitched up the wound on the heart of the base's ace captain. Soon after, my life also came to an end. Followed by, I suddenly felt my body lighten. I opened my eyes and saw my body lying on the bed. Now, I am floating in the air as a soul. I looked outside. The base's supreme commander stood outside the door. Colonel Zhao Wushuang stubbed out his cigarette. He looked at Dr. Lin, the scientist beside him. This uncontrollable healing resource finally turned into a controllable corpse. Dr. Lin pushed up his glasses. His eyes were filled with fanaticism. His body was priceless. Maybe you can extract the secret of the ability. Hearing this, I sneered. They don't know. My last thought is not to save all living beings, but the most vicious curse on this world. All those who have been healed by me after I die, the wounds will relapse with 100-fold pain, until they were completely devoured. At this moment, the operating room door was pushed open. Base Commander Zhao Wushuang and Chief Dr. Lin, a scientist, walked in. Zhao Wushuang glanced at the electrocardiogram drawn in a straight line on the screen. He didn't frown. Confirmed dead. Dr. Baodao took off his mask, drenched in sweat. Captain, we did our best. Mr. Feng Zhaoyang showed no signs of life. Zhao Wushuang nodded. My gaze shifted to Li Nang, who I had just pulled back from the brink of death. That cold and hard face finally had a little warmth. How is Li Nang doing? Mr. Feng Zhaoyang's supernatural ability perfectly repaired his heart. A few more days to recuperate. He will be the strongest blade in our base. Zhao Wushuang was satisfied. Very good. Feng Zhaoyang's funeral was handled with the standards of a hero. In addition, it was announced. Comrade Feng Zhaoyang honorably sacrificed himself to save heroes. The base will always remember his exploits. He spoke with dignified sound. It was as if they were truly mourning me. But I saw it clearly. The smile at the corner of his mouth as he turned was as if relieved. I saw not sadness in Dr. Lin's eyes. Rather, scientists saw rare experiments. Pinchy's greed and fanaticism. Dr. Lin pushed up his glasses. Captain, Feng Zhaoyang's body holds significant research value. Zhao Wushuang waved his hand. Over to you. I don't care what method you use. Research the principle of his ability as soon as possible. A thoughtful strategic resource is too unstable. Now he has finally become controllable. Turned out to be in their eyes. I have always been just a strategic resource. Now I'm dead. Instead, it made them even happier. Because the corpse will not resist. My soul trembled violently with anger. For 3 years, I was imprisoned by them in the space called Dawn. Like a never-ending healing machine. Day or night. As long as someone is injured, I had to be on the operating table immediately. From soldiers scraped by bullets. A clerk who twisted his ankle during training. Even the commander's wife raised him. The pet cat had a fishbone stuck in its throat. I need to use my precious abilities. They treat me like public property and squander it recklessly. They praised me as a beacon of hope. On the other hand, they monitored me with the most thorough methods. Lock me tightly in the deepest part of the institute. I have requested leave countless times from higher-ups. The reply I get is always 4 cold words. The overall situation is important. I once thought my efforts would always bring some genuine affection. But until the moment of death, only then did I see the true face behind their hypocritical mask. It's okay. I watched their hypocritical performance. The only trace of kindness to humanity in the heart. It also disappeared. My funeral was held with great ceremony. Zhao Wushuang personally delivered a eulogy for me. He squeezed out a few crocodile tears. Comrade Feng Zhaoyang is a hero of our base. It is a light in the dark end times. He used his young life in exchange for our peace. The audience was a black crowd. All the survivors of the base have arrived. Everyone wore a sorrowful expression on their face. They look so sad. It seems that I have really lost a close relative. But my soul floats above them. Clearly captures their true inner thoughts. Finally dead. If I get hurt again in the future, will there be no cure? What a pity for such a useful tool. Quiet down. But seriously, when he was alive, our team even dares to risk everything when they go on missions. Anyway, he had his back. Now he is dead. You'll have to take it easy from now on. Numb and gloating faces flashed before my eyes. I saw the man who had once been scratched by a mourning ruler because of his son. A middle-aged man kneeling before me, kowtowing and begging me to save his son. At this moment, I am complaining to the people around me. Now it's good. The people at the research institute have lost a family to rely on. Maybe we can allocate more resources to us commoners. I saw the one I had rescued from a severe coma. A young soldier clinging to my leg and calling for his savior. At this moment he was making faces with his companions. He was truly dead. This time, every time I see him I don't have to try to curry favor. I saw the clerk hailed as the most beautiful woman at the base. She once had a pimple on her face. Everyone cried and begged me to use my powers to help her. At this moment, she was facing the mirror. Feeling relieved, she stroked her smooth cheek. Fortunately, my skin has been cured. What a stroke of luck. It turns out the human heart can be this ugly. They enjoyed themselves with a clear conscience. The peace I have earned with my life. On the other hand, he treated me like a joke. The grief of only one person in the crowd is real. Those were the guards responsible for watching over me. Zhang Che, a boy who had just turned 18. Every time you bring me food, will secretly stuff me with a piece of candy. He is trapped in this cold steel cage. The only person who has given me warmth. Now, he stood in the corner of the crowd, head down. Shoulders twitched. Silent tears fell into the soil. My soul gently drifted to his side. I want to pat him on the shoulder, but it could only pass through his body in vain. I'm sorry, Zhang Che. My curse might affect you, because I remember, once you protected me. The arm was scratched by the out-of-control subject. I healed that wound too. After the funeral, Zhao Wushuang and several senior executives returned to the meeting room. The sadness on his face vanished instantly. Zhao Wushuang nervously pinched the bridge of his nose. Finally finished this scene. Notify me. From today. Regrading of medical resources. All common injury drugs are strictly controlled. Priority is given to combatants. Dr. Lin, how is your research going? Feng Zhaoyang's corpse. Any new discoveries? Dr. Lin excitedly opened a tablet. Above is dense data. And a diagram of my body. Major discovery. Captain. Feng Zhaoyang's supernatural ability seems to come from a special kind of energy inside his cells. This energy fluctuates with his vital signs. After his death, this energy is dissipating at an extremely rapid rate. We must hurry. I applied to use all the high-precision instruments in the base. A comprehensive analysis of his body. Zhao Wushuang nodded without hesitation. List what you need directly. I have only one request. Replicate his healing abilities as soon as possible. Even if it's just a weakened version. They enthusiastically discussed the value of my body in research. No one mentioned the name Feng Zhaoyang anymore. I've become a pile of things that can be done. Materials for arbitrary cutting and study. I watched all of this coldly. There are no waves in my heart. Never mind. The show has just begun. As night fell, the curse also began to take effect with the first bleak moonlight. The first one to have abnormalities. He was the ace captain I saved before I died. Li Neng. He was lying in a single ward at the highest level. Enjoying the treatment of a hero. Several beautiful female nurses surrounded him, showing concern. Captain Li, how do you feel? Li Neng was full of vigor, although his face was still a little pale. But he was full of energy. He patted his uninjured chest and laughed heartily. Very good. Feels like you can kill a cow with one punch. That kid Feng Zhaoyang's supernatural abilities are really something. If you are pierced in the heart, you can save it. It's a pity. He didn't finish speaking. The expression suddenly froze. Suddenly, he gasped. He clutched his chest. What's going on? Why does it feel a bit itchy? The nurse nervously supported him. Is it because the wound is uncomfortable? I'll show you. Li Neng waved his hand dismissively. No, maybe the wound is healing. But the itching only grew stronger. It was as if 10,000 ants were gnawing at his flesh and blood. He couldn't help but let out a miserable scream. It shattered the silence of the hospital room. Several nurses looked at him in terror. He saw the chest of Li Neng's hospital gown. A large dark red blood stain quickly oozed out. The spot he had just grabbed cracked the skin with his hand. A twisted wound appeared out of thin air. The shape was exactly the same as his position before the injury. What's going on? Li Neng stared in terror, eyes wide open. He could feel it clearly. A sharp pain like tearing came through his own heart. The heart that should have been perfectly repaired by me is shattering again. Go call a doctor. The nurses were frightened, screamed and rushed out of the ward. At the same time, screams echoed from every corner of the base. The prelude to the trial was played. In the headquarters, a staff officer reporting to work suddenly covered his thighs, collapsed to the ground in pain. He was shot in the thigh during a mission 3 weeks ago. The bones are broken. I helped him cure it. And now, that bullet I had dissolved with my supernatural powers. It seems to appear out of nowhere, stirring wildly within his flesh. The intense pain made him faint instantly. A soldier eating in the cafeteria. He suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. He covered his stomach. There was an expression of disbelief on his face. He had acute appendicitis. I helped him heal. Now his appendix is being overwhelmed. Previously, the pus was suppurating faster. Even that middle-aged man who would forgive me. He was at home coaxing his son to sleep. Suddenly, I noticed on my son's arm. The long-healed scratch marks reappeared. It began to turn black and rot, emitting a corpse-like stench. The man screamed in terror. The voice was drowned out by the mournful voices rising and falling throughout the base. Panic spread rapidly through the dawn base like a plague. All those I have healed. Their old injuries were all at the same moment. With a more intense tone. The more painful way comes back. My healing was never truly healing. It's just that I use my vitality for them. A fragile balance is being built. I live and balance is there. If I die, balance shatters. What they have to endure. It was a backlash 100 times worse than before. I float over the base, overlooking this hell on earth. Faces that once mocked me numbly and mocked. At this moment, everything was twisted. Consumed by pain and fear. I listened to their screams. Watching their struggles. I suddenly felt a great sense of satisfaction. As if my great revenge had been avenged. This is what you owe me. Now is the time to pay it off. The hospital at the base was instantly overcrowded. Every corner of the hospital is lying down. Patients groaning in pain. They all once received my healing powers. Voices of lament and curses mingled together. The entire medical center turned into a Shura field. Doctors and nurses were overwhelmed. They tried their best to rescue them. However, it was found that all medical methods had lost their effectiveness. No medicine works. Even the most advanced medical instruments. No pathological cause can be detected. An old doctor was breaking down, pulling at his own hair. Dr. Lin and Zhao Wushuang quickly arrived at the scene. Looking at the hellish scene in front of him. A crack appeared on Zhao Wushuang's face. He grabbed Dr. Lin by the collar. His voice was distorted by anger. What the hell is going on? Virus. Or some kind of widespread infection. Dr. Lin's face was even uglier than his. She adjusted her glasses. She then rushed into a temporary isolation room. Lying there was none other than Li Neng. This former ace captain. At this moment curled up on the hospital bed. The wound on his chest was rotting to the bone. It also emitted a foul stench. Dr. Lin muttered to himself. This is not scientific. She quickly retrieved Li Neng's physical data. He also compared the situation of dozens of other seriously ill patients. An absurd yet only reasonable inference formed in her mind. She suddenly looked up at Zhao Wushuang. The voices were shaking. Captain. It was Feng Zhaoyang. Zhao Wushuang was stunned. He hasn't passed away. Dr. Lin's eyes were filled with fear. It was his supernatural ability. His healing is more like a continuous link. He uses his life force. Forcibly maintain the healing state of those wounds. Now he is dead. The link is broken. Everything was backfired. Zhao Wushuang's pupils suddenly contracted. He understood what Dr. Lin meant. Feng Zhaoyang. The man they saw as both a tool and a trouble. His existence is the cornerstone that maintains the stability of this base. Right now, they personally toppled this cornerstone. Zhao Wushuang's voice was tinged with panic. Is there a way to remedy it? Dr. Lin's face was ashen. She shook her head in despair. Unless he can be brought back to life. Dead. Those 4 words struck Zhao Wushuang's heart hard. He watched him die with his own eyes. He personally ordered his body to be sent to the autopsy table. Right now, that corpse became a ticking time bomb that detonated the entire base. Damn it. Zhao Wushuang slammed his fist against the wall. The wall cracked open. He wasn't regretting it. He was angry at Feng Zhaoyang as a tool. And it was after his death, and it left him with such a huge mess. Zhao Wushuang quickly gave the order. Returning to his usual coldness. Block the news immediately. It is claimed to be an outbreak of a mutant virus. Medical centers are under full martial law. Other than that, isolate everyone showing symptoms. An adjutant exclaimed. Captain, there are several hundred people here, including most of our main fighting forces. Execute the command. Zhao Wushuang's eyes were filled with fierce smirk. Special measures are used during special times. We must not let the base fall into chaos because of this. They also delusion that they can keep things down. But they don't know. This is just the beginning. True despair was yet to come. Message. In the end, the truth can't be kept hidden. When more than 1/3 of the people in the base are present. When symptoms of recurrence of old injuries appear. Panic is like a flood that bursts a dam, unable to be controlled again. Not a virus. It was Feng Zhaoyang. That healing ability user messed up. He's dead. So the wounds he healed for us also failed. The truth is done in a cruel way. It spread to every corner of the base. After the initial shock, emotions quickly shifted from panic to anger. But they are the targets of anger, not the base leadership who drove me to my death. It's me. One is already dead. I can't defend myself. This is Feng Zhaoyang. How can a heart be so poisonous? If he's dead, so be it. Why drag us into it? He knew it would be like this. Why not let us know in advance? He did it on purpose. I told you, free things are the most expensive. He must not have been at ease when he was treated. This white-eyed wolf, our base treats him with good food and drink. That's how he repaid us. I floated over the institute, listening to these filthy curses. I just think it's ridiculous. While I was alive, worship me like a god. Please save their lives. Now I'm dead. Their needs can't be met. And put all the blame on me. These selfish, self-serving wolves. The angry crowd began to gather spontaneously. They shouted slogans. I rushed toward the research institute where I had lived in my lifetime. Hand over Feng Zhaoyang's body. Let him restore our health. They are like a bunch of madmen who have lost their minds. The one leading the way was the one I had healed. A female clerk with acne on her face. At this moment, several red, swollen pimples had appeared again on her face. This made her look even more hysterical. Feng Zhaoyang, that ungrateful wolf. He ruined my face. I want him to die a bad death. She screamed as she picked up a stone. He slammed it hard against the institute's main gate. The guards formed a human wall to try to block them. But soon, they were overwhelmed by the angry crowd. The crowd surged into the institute like a tide. They are frantically searching for everything related to me. My room was quickly found by them. That was me at the space. The only private space. There was only one bed inside. A desk. There was also a small bookshelf. This is it. This is where the ungrateful person lives. The crowd swarmed in. They overturned my bed, tearing my bedding. Their faces showed a sickly sense of satisfaction. Burn everything he owns. Someone took out a lighter and lit my book. It also devoured my heart about this world. The last trace of lingering attachment. Zhang Che rushed in. He watched those people's frenzied actions. He roared, "Stop it. What are you doing?" He tried to put out the fire. A man kicked Zhang Che aside. "You are also his accomplice. You help him harm us." Feng Zhaoyang was not that kind of person. Zhang Che struggled to get up, tightly guarding the fire, even though the flames had already burned his arm. He once tried hard to help you. How can you do that? But his defense only brought more punches and kicks. Fart. Was he trying to save us? He poisoned us. Beat this traitor to death. I watched as Zhang Che curled up on the ground from the beating. Those I once saved. At this moment, he was cursing me with the most vicious words. My soul is as cold as ice in midair. Let's make trouble. Time is running out. Riots at the institute. In the end, the suppression troops sent by Zhao Wushuang forcibly suppressed the situation. Dozens of the most aggressive people were beaten on the spot. The bloody tactics temporarily slowed the out-of-control crowd. But the seeds of despair have already been sown. In Zhao Wushuang's office, the atmosphere was so heavy it seemed to drip water. "Captain, the situation is worse than we imagined." An adjutant reported, his face pale. According to the latest statistics, 90% of the combatants in the base. There have been varying degrees of recurrence of old injuries, especially those battle-hardened veterans. They bore countless old wounds. Now almost everyone is paralyzed in bed. Life is worse than death. Zhao Wushuang slammed his fist the table. The blue veins on the back of the hand suddenly rose. His own left shoulder. He also began to ache faintly. It was a gunshot wound from a breakout battle a few years ago. At that time, he almost lost his entire arm. I also used my ability to heal him. Right now, that bone-deep pain returned. Zhao Wushuang gritted his teeth. Turned to Dr. Lin, who was silent on the side. "I'll ask you again. Is there a way?" Dr. Lin looked up. Her dark circles are heavy. His eyes were bloodshot. "A theoretical approach. There is one." Zhao Wushuang's eyes lit up instantly. He couldn't wait to ask further. "What way?" "Summoning the soul." Zhao Wushuang doubted he had misheard. He asked again. "What?" Dr. Lin repeated. "Summoning the soul." Her expression didn't look like she was joking. "Bound to his soul. His death caused the link to break. That, if we can put his soul into it, recall it back into his body, even if it's only for a short time, maybe you can re-establish the link. Stabilize everyone's injuries for the time being." "This is ridiculous." The adjutant beside Zhao Wushuang couldn't help but question him. "This is the end of the world. Why are you still stuck with those feudal superstitions?" Dr. Lin stood up excitedly. "This is not superstition. Superpowers themselves are beings that transcend existing science. Since he possesses extraordinary abilities, why can't there be a soul? I consulted a large amount of ancient texts from before the apocalypse. Discover many ancient civilizations. There are records of soul summoning and spiritual communication. As she spoke, she turned on the projector. Some ancient things appeared on the screen. And the strange symbols and formations. I refer to those ancient texts. Combined with our analysis of Feng Zhaoyang's supernatural energy fluctuations, a psychic return ritual was designed. We need his body as a medium. Some special materials are also needed. At last, find the person who is most closely connected to him. As an introduction, Zhao Wushuang fell silent. He stared at the complex array on the screen. Reason told him, this is simply a fantasy. But in this desperate situation, and he had no choice but to hold on to this last one. Even the seemingly most unreliable lifeline, he asked in a deep voice, what is the success rate? Less than 10% of the situation is achieved. Dr. Lin confessed to him. And the ritual carries enormous risks. We are trying to reach into an unknown territory. It may attract some bad things. The office fell into a deathly silence. After a long time, Zhao Wushuang suddenly slammed the table. The decision was made. Done. His gaze became wild and resolute. Prepare the ceremony immediately. If you need any materials, I'll personally bring people to find them. As for that introduction, his gaze slowly drifted out the window. Outside the window is the base's temporary confinement room. Zhang Che was bruised and battered, currently locked inside. He was in the entire base. The only one who stood up for me during the riot. It was also the only one detected by Dr. Lin's instrument. Someone who resonates faintly with my lingering energy field. Zhao Wushuang stared coldly at that figure. So I used him. I drift outside the window. Take in all of this at a glance. Summoning the soul. It's ridiculous. They treat me like a tool. Squeeze out the last drop of my blood. After I die, they will still wrap and read my body. Use my last friend. Now you even dream of pulling me back from hell. Continue to work hard for them. I looked at the crazy expressions on their faces. All that remained in his heart was endless mockery. Come on. I want to take a look. You fools can come from my grave. What kind of surprise will it summon? The operational efficiency of the base is astonishing. In less than half a day, all the special materials Dr. Lin needed were gathered one by one. Fresh mutated creature heart, the brain of a high-level zombie, and soil tainted with resentment collected at specific moments. The ceremony was held at a place that had previously been used to extract my supernatural powers from the lab. Laboratory center. Mixed with those materials unknown liquids. A huge and eerie dark red magic circle was drawn. At the center of the array was a crystal coffin. My body. He just lay quietly inside. After disassembly and various experiments, my body was already in ruins. The skin is covered with pinholes and cuts. Dr. Lin and her team. He was anxiously adjusting the instruments around the magic array. Those instruments used to be tools to extract my energy. Right now, they are connected to the array in an attempt to reverse operations. Guiding so-called soul energy back. Zhao Wushuang stood outside the laboratory. He watched everything with a grave expression. His left shoulder hurt more and more. His entire arm began to stiffen. This brought his anxiety and anticipation to the peak. He asked without even turning his head. Did you bring the introduction? Brought, Captain. 2 heavily armed soldiers. He escorted Zhang Che over. Zhang Che's injuries were severe. Even walking was a bit chaotic. But he still stood tall. When he saw the center of the lab. When my corpse was inside the crystal coffin. His eyes instantly turned red. What are you going to do to Brother Zhaoyang? His voice was hoarse and furious. He has left. Why won't you let him go? Zhang Che. This is to save the entire base. Zhao Wushuang turned to look at Zhang Che. The death of Feng Zhaoyang. Let everyone fall into a crisis. What we are doing now is the only remedy. Zhang Che spat bloody spit onto the bulletproof glass. You bunch of scoundrels. It was you who wore Zhaoyang to death. Now he wants to use him again. You don't deserve it. Zhao Wushuang's expression darkened. It seems you haven't faced reality yet. He coldly ordered the soldiers beside him. Take him in. Tie it in the designated position. If he resisted, break his legs. Zhang Che was forcibly dragged into the laboratory. His resistance and curses. In the face of absolute power. It seemed so insignificant. He was tightly bound to the magic array. On a metal rack at the edge, his wrist was severed. Blood dripped onto the array's patterns. Quickly absorbed. Dr. Lin reported to Zhao Wushuang via communicator. Everything is ready. VRHL is fully prepared. Zhao Wushuang gave the order. Let's go. The lab lights instantly dimmed. Only the dark red magic array began to emit light. The instrument rattles loudly. An invisible energy field. It began to spread throughout the laboratory. I can feel a strong suction. It was coming from that formation, trying to pull at my soul. But I am unmoved. I am no longer the Feng Zhaoyang who was manipulated by others. My soul and curse are one and inseparable. The light of the magic circle is getting brighter and brighter. The instrument's readings began to beat wildly. Dr. Lin's eyes were fixed on the crystal coffin. Above the magic array, Zhang Che was tied to the rack because of blood loss and the energy shock from the magic array. The face was as pale as paper, but he still gritted his teeth. He glared at Zhao Wushuang outside the glass with eyes full of hatred. He murmured in a weak voice, "Don't come back. Don't go back to this place again." I heard Zhang Che's plea. This silly boy. How could I come back? Not only will I not come back, I also want to give them a big gift. Just when the energy of the magic circle reached its peak, when that suction was so strong it almost tore through space, I took the initiative to release a hint of breath connected to the curse. He let it be caught by the magic array. The soul signal was locked. Dr. Lin was so excited that he trembled all over. Increase energy output quickly. Zhao Wushuang also clenched his fists excitedly. However, they did not notice the sky outside the laboratory. At some point it became pitch black. Thick dark clouds pressed down so hard it was hard to breathe. With the influx of my breath, that soul-summoning magic circle, a certain evil mutation is happening. The original dark red markings. A trace of strange black gas began to rise. A will that does not belong to me, drawn by this mistaken ritual. Then, a loud bang came from the base's outer wall. A mournful siren instantly resounded throughout the base. Alert! The western wall was attacked by an unknown high-level mutant. The excitement on Zhao Wushuang's face instantly froze. He snatched the communicator and roared angrily. What's going on? Where did the high-level mutant come from? What do the scouts eat? The scout's voice came through the communicator, so terrified it had changed tone. Report to the colonel. It was an overwhelming tide of corpses. And we've never seen the zombie at the very front. Its body shape resembles a small mountain. Corpse tide. These two words. Let the blood of everyone present cool down. During the 3 years of the apocalypse, they had experienced countless corpse hordes. But every time they managed to hold their ground safely. Because they have the strongest backing. That is my healing ability. No matter how many injuries there are. As long as there is still one breath, I can even save them. So they fought to the death. But now, over 90% of the base soldiers were lying in hospital beds. How could he possibly withstand the overwhelming tide of corpses? Hold it out for me at all costs. Zhao Wushuang roared into the communicator. Everyone who could still move was put on the wall. Heavy firepower preparation. We must hold it firmly. After issuing the order, he turned his head and glared at Dr. Lin with bloodshot eyes. How long will the ceremony take? Dr. Lin also panicked. She looked at the chaotic data on the device, sweating profusely. It's almost over. Soul energy is being infused. Feng Zhaoyang's body began to react. Everyone's gaze. All of it was concentrated on that crystal coffin. I saw my eyelids begin to tremble slightly. It worked. We are saved. The higher-ups outside the lab erupted in cheers. Zhao Wushuang also let out a heavy sigh of relief. A distorted smile appeared on his face. That's great. Feng Zhaoyang. You damn tool. Finally, it came in handy again at the last minute. Only Zhang Che was tied to the rack. There was endless despair and sadness in his eyes. No, my soul, floating in midair, watched all this coldly. His heart was filled with mockery. Resurrection. You summoned them back. He is not your savior. In everyone's expectant eyes. Inside the crystal coffin, I slowly opened my eyes. But in those eyes, there was only bottomless darkness. And the most primal hunger for all life, a roar unlike any human, coming out of my throat. The sturdy crystal coffin lid was blown away by a tremendous force, crashed heavily into the ceiling. I sat up. It was the thing occupying my body that sat up. Its movements were stiff and eerie. His neck twisted at an incredible angle. Its gaze swept over everyone in the lab. Finally, it landed on Dr. Lin, who was closest to it. The ecstasy on Dr. Lin's face turned into extreme fear. She kept retreating. Wrong. This is not Feng Zhaoyang. What are you? The monster spoke. Showed a strange smile. His teeth become sharp and razor-sharp. The next second, its figure vanished from where it stood in an instant. Dr. Lin let out a scream. She was choked by that thing, held high in midair. Help me. Dr. Lin's legs hung weakly in midair. Zhao Wushuang and the executives outside were all stunned with fear. They watched helplessly as that one took over. The monster that has taken over my body opens its mouth. He bit down Dr. Lin's neck. Blood gushed like a fountain, splattered with the monster's face that once belonged to me. The monster greedily sucked in. Its body changes rapidly. The skin turns dark and bluish. Nails become long and pointed. The aura emanating from him, compared to the giant zombies attacking the city outside, is 100 times more terrifying. It is evolving. And the nutrients it evolved. It was these people who once pushed me into the abyss. Monster. Kill it quickly. Zhao Wushuang was the first to react. He drew the pistol at his waist, shooting wildly at the monsters in the laboratory. The bullet struck the monster's head and heart with precision. But aside from a few sparks flying on its dark skin, it doesn't cause any harm at all. The monster casually tossed it away and was drained dry. Dr. Lin's body was filled with blood. Turned its head. Those jet-black eyes locked onto Zhao Wushuang outside the glass. Suddenly smashed toward the thick side. 20 centimeters of bulletproof glass. A loud crash rang out. Bulletproof glass strong enough to withstand rocket attacks. Cracked instantly like a spiderweb. Then it shattered into a ground of sparkling debris. The monster moved step by step. He walked toward Zhao Wushuang and the executives, who were so frightened they kept retreating. Takes every step. His aura rose even higher. This summoned lower-dimensional being, after devouring the energy of Dr. Lin, a high-level ability user, completed its first transformation. Right now, craves more food. Meanwhile, the group before them had suffered a relapse of old injuries, greatly weakened in combat strength. The senior officials were once again terrified. In its eyes, it's just a steaming hot buffet after plate. Stop it quickly, guard. Zhao Wushuang shouted loudly. The voice was full of fear. A few loyal guards rushed up with a high-energy pulse rifle. Focus fire at the monsters. A blue energy beam enveloped the entire monster. The monster suddenly waved its hand. A black shockwave erupted from its center. The guards didn't even have time to scream. His body melted away in the black wave of energy. In the end, it turned into puddles of foul-smelling pus. High-energy pulse rifles are ineffective against it. The top management completely collapsed. They cried out and scattered in all directions. There are many ugliness, the once lofty big shots. At this moment, the wolves looked like a flock of lambs waiting to be slaughtered. Zhao Wushuang wanted to run too, but he just turned around. I felt a heart-wrenching pain in my left shoulder. The old injury has returned. He was in so much pain that he fell to the ground while running. When I look back again, that one belonged to Feng Zhaoyang. Yet the face so unfamiliar was already within sight. The monster looked down at him from above. In the shadow of death, Zhao Wushuang completely let go of all his dignity. He supported himself on the ground with his still-moving right hand, constantly moving backward. His voice trembled as he pleaded for mercy. Feng Zhaoyang, I know it's you. Are you back? Please let me go. I really know it's wrong. I promise you everything. The entire base is yours. He thought this was still the naive Feng Zhaoyang. My soul floated in midair, coldly watching him. The monster obviously didn't understand him. Or rather, it simply doesn't care. It simply extends its sharp claws. He aimed at Zhao Wushuang's previously injured left arm. He thrust it in hard. Zhao Wushuang let out a scream like a pig being slaughtered. The monster did not kill him immediately. It tore at Zhao Wushuang's flesh bit by bit, gnawing on his bones. It seems to be for those I have once healed. Now, the area that has recurred has become especially fond of it. My energy remains there. It is a great tonic for it. In the laboratory, it quickly turned into a one-sided massacre feast. Those high-level bases who are powerful on weekdays. One after another they were captured by monsters. Then devour them in the cruelest way. Their screams echoed from the base's outer walls. The zombies' howls intertwined, composing a symphony of destruction for the apocalypse. And I saw all of this. After the monster had a hearty meal in the lab, it seems he is still not satisfied. It turned its gaze to the only surviving creature. Zhang Che was tied to the rack. Zhang Che witnessed this bloody massacre with his own eyes. But there was no fear on his face. There is only one relief and sadness. He closed his eyes, waiting for death to come. The monster walked up to him, just tilted his head, looked at him with those dark pupils for a few seconds. It seemed to come from Zhang Che. He sensed an uncomfortable aura. That was the last trace of kindness I left for Zhang Che. The monster seemed uninterested in this scent. It growled lowly, turned around and jumped up. The ceiling of the laboratory was shattered. He rushed toward the wider dining table outside. Zhang Che opened his eyes in shock, looking at the huge hole above his head. For a moment he felt a bit lost. He survived. After all of them died. Yet this introductory scapegoat used as a sacrifice survived. I floated up to him, watching him look up in a daze. My curse seemed to let him go. The old wound on his arm hadn't recurred. The killing outside continued. The monster that took over my body rushed into the chaotic base. Its appearance. It instantly collapsed an already vulnerable defensive line. It doesn't just slaughter humans. Even those low-level zombies. It was easily torn apart and devoured by it. It evolves through eating, becoming stronger and stronger. And the survivors of the base. Under a double pincer, he fell into true despair. What kind of monster is that? Why does he look so much like Feng Zhaoyang? It was Feng Zhaoyang who had turned into a monster and returned for revenge. This is all retribution. Among the surviving crowds. Finally, someone expressed a lament of regret. They remembered how I was driven to death by them. I thought of how they treated Zhang Che, the only one who spoke up for me. I saw the once arrogant ace captain, Li Neng. He relapsed due to an old heart injury. Even the gun is unsteady. Thrown to the ground by a few of the most ordinary zombies. Tearing it apart alive. Before dying, he was still murmuring to himself. Feng Zhaoyang. Save me. I was wrong. I saw that because of acne on my face. Just a bossy female clerk to me. She was bitten off half her face by a zombie. Rolling painfully on the ground. Finally, it was overwhelmed by the swarms of corpses. I saw the complaint that I shouldn't have taken over. A middle-aged man with civilian resources. He held his son, who had already turned into a little zombie. The monster smashed it into a minced pulp with a single paw. Faces both familiar and strange. Died in the most tragic way before my eyes. My heart was filled only with a hollow calm. Zhang Che broke free from his restraints, crawling out of the chaotic laboratory. He walked in confusion through the base, which had already turned into a hell. His eyes were hollow. It was as if his soul had been pulled away. He walked to the center of the base's square. There was once a statue erected there. The heroic monument I built for them. Right now, that monument has already been toppled by an angry crowd. It shattered into several pieces. Zhang Che stepped down. Gently brush the dust off the stone tablet with your hand. On it, there was even a handwritten inscription by Zhao Wushuang. An eulogy utterly hypocritical. Savior. Zhang Che looked at those 3 words. Suddenly laughed softly. As she laughed, tears began to fall. I'm sorry, Chaoyanggu. We don't deserve it. He pulled out a piece of candy from his pocket. That was the last time he went to bring me food. Prepare to secretly slip it to me. But that day he hadn't had the chance to see me yet. I was rushed into the operating room. He never came out again. He peeled open the candy wrapper. Put that cheap fruit candy. Gently placed on the broken stone tablet. Completed a long overdue memorial. At this moment, there was a sound of heavy footsteps behind him. The monster that took over my body. I don't know when it has come behind him. The monster had just devoured the giant zombie besieging the city. Its size expanded even further. Its mouth was still covered with the flesh and black blood of a giant zombie. Those pitch-black pupils fell on Zhang Che once again. Zhang Che looked at that face that was both familiar and strange. He didn't run. Nor did he beg for mercy. He just quietly watched it. There was endless sadness in his eyes. He murmured softly, Chaoyanggu, are you relieved? The monster seemed to freeze for a moment. Tilted its head. In those chaotic eyes, it seemed to have a hint of human charm flashing by. It was soon replaced by endless violence and hunger. It lunged at Zhang Che. Zhang Che closed his eyes. But there was a faint, relieved smile at the corner of his mouth. However, the expected pain did not come. He opened his eyes in confusion. But he witnessed a scene he would never forget. The monster's claws were sharp enough to tear through steel. It stopped less than a centimeter from his forehead. It did not stop on its own. Instead, a translucent hand gripped his wrist. My soul was caught between Zhang Che and the monster. The monster seems to have been greatly challenged. It let out an angry roar. The other paw grabbed fiercely at my soul. I just quietly watched it. That's enough. I let out a silent sigh with my soul. Dust for dust. The land is the land. My soul radiated like never before. The light enveloped the 3 of us together. The monster's body was shrouded in light. Let out a painful roar. Its dark bluish skin began to dissolve inch by inch. It is purifying. Or rather, at the abyssal cessation. It was something that was never meant to exist in this world. It is human greed and foolishness that summon it. Right now, I will personally erase this mistake completely. The light faded away. The world seemed to fall silent. The terrifying monster disappeared. Situ. All that remained was my battered body. It lay quietly on the ground. All the wounds disappeared. It was as if he had never been dismissed from the ministry. It has never been occupied by monsters. This is the last strength I can do. The only thing. Let everything return to its origins. Zhang Che stared blankly at the scene. Reach out. It seems like she wants to touch something, but only caught a piece of nothingness. Zhaoyang. He knows. I really left. This time his soul was completely shattered. I protected him with my last strength, and ended this disaster that started with me. The crisis at the base did not end with the disappearance of the monster. They lost most of their combat effectiveness. The remaining survivors are the lambs waiting to be slaughtered. The destruction of the Dawn base was only a matter of time. But that no longer concerns me. My soul began to become transparent. Before consciousness completely sank into darkness, I took one last look at this world full of scars. I saw Zhang Che carry me on his back. Step by step he struggled toward the base out. I don't know where he's going. Maybe he wanted to find a beautiful place to bury me. Keeps me away from the filth and noise of this world. I see the walls of the base, broken through by more and more zombies. Those who used to speak ill of me, and those who revel after I die. Zombies are torn to pieces. I saw that one I had healed countless times. After my death, she led the curse at my female clerk. Her face was covered in livor mortis spots. A meowing sound came from his throat. He also became a member of the Walking Dead. Cycle of cause and effect. There are no more waves in my heart. A wisp of blue smoke rose from the shell on Zhang Che's back, completely dissipated between heaven and earth. My name is Feng Zhaoyang. I was once the only healer-type ability user in the apocalypse. I saved a lot of people. In the end, they were buried with their own hands. The story has no heroes, nor is there a savior. Only a group is in the apocalypse, a pitiful creature whose humanity has been consumed by greed and selfishness. And he simply pressed the domino called judgment.